Andrew Tate is a controversial figure known for his misogynistic rhetoric and self-promoting behavior. He thrives on spreading extreme lies and conspiracy theories about women and society. Tate capitalized on his notoriety by promoting a toxic brand of hypermasculinity and peddling questionable self-help courses to impressionable young men for monetary gain. His actions are often silly yet dangerous, but he still gains many followers by making people angry and portraying himself as a victim of the problems he created. Young men are drawn to Andrew Tate because he presents himself as a successful and confident role model. He promises them a path to wealth, power, respect, and women through his bold, outspoken personality and flashy lifestyle. However, his toxic and harmful views, along with his manipulative methods, often exploit their insecurities and lead them down a dangerous path. In other words, Tate is evil, and since like attracts like, it's no wonder that other evil people flock to Andrew and Tristan Tate. People like Sneeko, Patrick Bet-David, Candace Owens, Pearl Davis, and Myron Gaines. Myron Gaines enjoys debating young, inexperienced, and intoxicated women for his show. Like many emotional men who take pleasure in verbally attacking women, Myron feels powerful when he targets them, even though he does not behave this way towards men. Myron often claims that women are terrible at debating because they focus on their feelings rather than facts. But what happens when Myron is challenged by a knowledgeable man who not only debates with facts, but also provides receipts to support those facts? He runs away like a coward. To see how all of this played out, let's start from the beginning. So on July the 22nd, Andrew Tate tweeted this: "I just heard from my lawyer, Joseph McBride. The Florida defamation case against my wrongful accuser is proceeding. The court held that the defamatory statements were made with actual malice and that she knew the statements were untrue at the time she made them. She lied." Salimon chimes in by saying, "Breaking! Florida judge rules that the defendants in the Tate brothers case knew they were lying." Florida judge made the following statement in the Tate defamation case: "Defendants, quote-unquote victims from Romanian case, knew the statements were untrue at the time she made them in April 2022. The Florida court has delivered a pivotal decision in the Andrew and Tristan case of human trafficking in Romania and repeated those allegations in Florida." Source: Tate News. You just said you are going to a biased news source about the Tates. Yeah, okay. This is what I'm talking about. These people are just jokes. Shortly after that, Tristan tweeted this: "A judge in the USA has just ruled that the quote-unquote victims who started the Tate case were lying to the Romanian police and knew they were lying." Holy smokes, this is a big lie. "Hey, BBC, what story are we going to run? It turns out they were falsely accused after all. BBC clowns." So this is the victim's lawyer, Danny Pinter. And since Andrew and Tristan Tate both have her blocked, she took a screen cap of his lies and basically laid out all the facts by saying this.
Important thread on #Andrew Tate misinformation. In the post below, the first half of the court's quote is missing, which says the defendants alleged actual malice. The court did not rule that the defendant lied, but only that the complaint sufficiently alleged that she did. Court's full quote in image below. The court sums up the Tate's allegations and found they were enough to get past the most basic pleading requirements, something the vast majority of the case was lacking according to the rest of the court's order. Litigation 101. Courts do not make factual findings at the motion to dismiss stage. Under the Florida Rules of Civil Procedure, the court must assume all of the allegations are true and draw all inferences in the light most favorable to the plaintiff. The court's only analysis is to decide that if assuming everything alleged is true, do the allegations meet basic pleading requirements for a case to proceed? If not, then the court throws out the case. In this case, the court dismissed 3 out of 4 defendants and dismissed 4 out of 8 claims against the remaining defendant, meaning that even assuming everything in the complaint was true, it still failed to even state a claim for relief as to the majority of defendants and claims. This is a huge victory for the defendants, and it's all moot anyway because the Tates filed a 3rd amended complaint, so the process starts all over again. Defendants can all file new motions to dismiss, and the court has to rule on them again. This kind of misinformation and misleading messaging does not advance truth or justice.
So Murder by Crayons go to Tristan Tate's hidden replies and notice that he's hiding replies for individuals who are basically setting the record straight, but he also bans them right after he hides their replies. Tristan Tate is hiding replies from people correcting his misinformation. Danny Pinter is the lawyer for the defense, and he doesn't want his fans to know the truth. What a sad, cowardly, sorry excuse for a man. Tate fans, is your masculine hero? So Crayon shows another hidden reply and says, the cowardly beta continues to hide the truth about what the judge actually said. Tristan Tate, you're pathetic, and shows a screenshot from hidden replies, as you can see, by Tristan Tate from Pain Hell. And he says, why are you always lying? And then quote tweeted Danny Pinter. Now, when I saw this, I was, wondering, because Tristan is known to not only hide the replies, but block the person right afterwards. So I at Pain Hell and said, hey, Pain Hell, did Tristan block you after posting this? And he says, yup. And he hid my reply, and there you go, Tristan blocking everybody from the truth. Now remember, the Matrix is always lying, but let's be clear. Tristan and Andrew Tate are the Matrix they keep talking about. They are the Matrix they warn everyone about. Now here's where it gets good. Mr. Myron Gaines, who will debate anybody based upon facts, had a biased circle jerk Twitter space that was titled, Tates are innocent, girls found liable for lying. Tristan debunks liars. And in his Twitter space, he only allows people who agrees with him or people who don't know much about the case and cannot debunk all their lies. Crayons noticed that Myron was holding this space, and therefore he entered the space and requested to be a speaker. And this is what happens next.
We appreciate it, Sharon. Let's go to Tony. Let's go to Tony, okay?
All right.
Sharon.
Real quick. We got Murdered by Crayons, who's trying to come up. He's an anti-Tate account. It's up to you guys if you want to deal with it. I checked out his page, and I also got warned about him. He's gone out of his way to try to smear the Tates. It's up to you guys if you want to hear some dissent.
Nah, because then you're platforming someone like him,
You got it.
Can we not lose brain cells today, please? It's been a great space so far.
I'll try my hardest to keep my brain cells intact there.
Did you hear that? So Myron knows that Crayons would basically destroy him with facts. And instead of him allowing Crayons to come into the space as a speaker to debunk his circle jerk, he was like, nah, I don't want to platform him because he's going to come with the facts against my daddy Tate. Absolutely pathetic. Once again, Myron Gaines taking a L in a Twitter space. So not only would they prevent Crayons from being a speaker so that he can debunk Myron Gaines' talking points with facts, receipts, and court documents, but they kicked him out of the space. Right here. You have been removed from the space, and Crayon says, couldn't handle the truth, could you, Myron Gaines? Weak. Y'all all purposely lying to your audience. What are you afraid of? And because Crayons is very transparent and he wants the truth to come out, he decided to make his space several minutes later and set the record straight by saying this.
How's everybody doing today? We have another unplanned space. But what kicked this space off today was a ton of misinformation that's coming out. And I just left the space. I got kicked out of the space from Myron Gaines' space where they were ganging up on Hater, who I just brought up to speak on here. And they were asking questions and kind of bullying him around. I said, you know what? I'm going to have a space. We're going to cut through this stuff. I'm going to get to the facts today. And Hater, I brought you up to speak, man. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have. They were definitely ganging up on you. I requested to speak, and they briefly discussed if they were going to allow me to speak or not. Then they kicked me out. So they didn't want to hear the information. Now, this space, again, it is unplanned, but we are going to power through some misinformation. I'm going to talk about some things in the case that some of you might not know about. Everyone is welcome to come up here and speak. You might have to wait What I don't want to do is bring up a ton of people on stage and it turn into chaos. I'll let one or two people come up at a time. So if you have requested, just go ahead and request and I will get to you. However, if you are new to our spaces, we respect one another, even if we have different opinions. We don't yell over each other. We treat each other with respect, okay? We can disagree, but we respect each other. Now, the first thing I want to talk about today is the misinformation that's being shared. The misinformation is the judge in the U.S. made a ruling, or claimed that the victims in the Romanian case were lying. That's the misinformation. This information came out. Tate said this himself. Tristan has said this. Their lawyer, Joseph McBride, implied that was the case, and people have been running wild with this. Okay, here's what actually happened. The case in the U.S. has not even started yet. It is still in a very preliminary stage. They're still trying to figure out what claims are actually going to move to discovery, which that's the point where both parties can share their evidence, right? The discovery process. So they're still trying to figure out what's actually going to make it to discovery, and then after discovery, they're going to go on, and the case will get started. So the judge did not say that anyone was lying. What happened was that Tate's made allegations stating that this victim was lying, and the court simply acknowledged Tate's allegations. That's it. In the document, the court acknowledged, they have to acknowledge this, acknowledged that Tate's allegation was that she was lying. The Tates took that and spun that into the judge said that the girls were lying. That did not happen. That did not happen. And if you look up at the top, up in the nest, I put a couple of really important tweets up there. If you swipe around, look for the tweet from Danny Pinter. Danny Pinter is the lawyer for the single defendant that's left in the case. If you click into her thread, it's up there at the top. She breaks down what actually happened and some of the misinformation. She has a little mini thread. So I had that up at the top. As always, we always bring receipts when we make these claims, when we make these allegations. And she actually highlights the part where the court accepts their allegations and talks about those allegations. And they use the word allegations, alleged, etc. So go in there and dig through that.
So during this space, Crayon set the record straight. He also invited anyone who wanted to debate him on the facts, and not one person who was pro Andrew and Tristan Tate took him upon their offer. Instead, they was just being triggered in the replies, basically tweeting to Crayon how they are so angry with him, but not one time did they come into the space and basically challenged him. So towards the end of the space, Crayon summarized everything like this.
I actually want to read something. I should have done this early on one or two victims. And those victims, they're claiming that a judge said that they were lying, and that's simply not the case. I actually want to read something. I should have done this early on. I need to go back a little bit. I want to read something from, give me 1 second. I'm going to read through it. This is an official statement that came out from the National Center. So an important statement from the National Center addressing the Tate brothers' most recent lies. Okay, here it is. July 22, 2024. The National Center Patient Law Center issued the following statement to correct misinformation regarding the civil lawsuit brought by Andrew and Tristan Tate against their alleged victims. Earlier this month, a Florida court dismissed 3 of the 4 individuals sued by Andrew and Tristan Tate in a Florida civil lawsuit. This lawsuit was brought by the Tate brothers against 2 young women identified as victims and witnesses in the Romanian human trafficking criminal case, a victim's parents and a United States Marine who reported their crimes to the U.S. Embassy in Romania. The Tates are currently being prosecuted for human trafficking and sexual offenses committed against several victims, including defendants sued in Florida. Previously, a federal court in Florida dismissed the Tates' claims against the U.S. Marine, but for procedural reasons returned the case back to state court. After a hearing via several orders issued in July 2024, the Florida court dismissed all claims against one of the victim defendants and against the parents of one of the victim defendants. As to the remaining victim defendant, the court dismissed 4 out of the 8 claims brought against her. No discovery has occurred. The case is still in the most preliminary stage. The court's orders allow the plaintiffs to amend their complaint and try to cure its deficiencies, which also provides the defendants the opportunity to file new motions to dismiss. Furthermore, at this preliminary stage, the court does not make any factual findings and, under the rules, must assume all the facts as stated in the complaints are true for the purpose of ruling on a motion to dismiss. In Florida, the rules for pleading are quite liberal, and the Tates have attempted to use these liberal pleading rules to unfair advantage. Given the liberal pleading rules in Florida, it is a very high hurdle for defendants to overcome to get a case dismissed at this early stage. Therefore, it is a huge victory for the victims/survivors that the majority of the Tate brothers' claims were dismissed for failure to state any legal claim, and 3 of the defendants had their claims dismissed entirely because their complaint was deficient on its face. For the remaining claims, the defendants are confident that the truth will prevail as the Romanian and UK criminal proceedings continue to be prosecuted against the Tate brothers. Then it goes on to talk about who their legal counsel is. So Danny Pinter is a legal representation for the remaining victim, and she's the senior legal counsel for the National Center on Sexual Exploitation. She goes on to say, "We are very pleased the court has tossed out the majority of this frivolous lawsuit and wisely narrowed the issues and claims. If the case proceeds, we look forward to the opportunity to prove the truth of what occurred in Romania, and we are confident that ultimately we will succeed and this harassing lawsuit will fail." So that's an official statement to come out. For those of you who joined us late, the Tate brothers have been falsely claiming that a judge determined that the girls lied. That did not happen. There are no girls. There is a single victim defendant left, and all the court did was acknowledge that the Tate brothers were claiming that she lied. That's it, and it's procedural. So they're pushing this massive misinformation campaign to try to make people believe that they're being falsely accused in Romania. But if you've been around since the beginning of this space, DCOT is the accuser. This victim could disappear off the face of the earth today. And I hope that doesn't happen, but technically speaking, she could, and it would have no impact whatsoever on the case in Romania. We've also been told that the U.S. case will have no impact on the Romanian case, whatever the findings are. So however this turns out, it's not going to impact the Romanian case. It's a civil case in the U.S., it's a criminal case in Romania, and DCOT is the one who gathered all of the evidence.
And there you have it, folks. The complete breakdown of the Tate's dishonesty, the Florida court's ruling, and Myron sweeping for both of them by being a coward and turning away dissenting voices. The entire Twitter space was a safe haven for Tate fans to spread lies in their echo chamber. As a matter of fact, it was such a safe space that Tristan felt comfortable to join in and pretend that he and his brother are not going to spend the rest of their lives in jail.
So you're not going to see me fade into obscurity. You're not going to see us go into retirement. We're going to continue doing what we're doing, and just, living our lives to the fullest. Yeah. The moment I get out of this, I'm going to be at political rallies. I'm going to be at speaking events. Yes, in the United States, and yes, all over Europe, which needs saving as well for the political right. And that's me done. I've got to go. I just arrived at my destination, gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of the space.
God bless you. Long live the Tates.
Never thought I would see a bunch of grown men and the pick-me women live in Delulu land like this, but here we are. Anywho, that's it for me today. But before I go, I want to thank Thoughts and Players for their help with collecting these receipts to speed this production along. Now, you let me know what you think about all of this by leaving a comment below this video. Don't forget to give it a like, and I'll see you either on my next video or live stream. Later, taters.